that ever since the Big Three came together in Brooklyn, I've been looking for a reason to pick them to win it all. Yeah. But that is not true. When Harden was first traded, I stuck with the Lakers pick. But I am an objective analyst, and my job is to say what's in my head, not what's in my heart. To say what I see, not what I feel. So I don't bring feelings to a fact fight. All right, and the fact is this. Brooklyn looks every bit as good in reality as they do on paper. All right, the Brooklyn, here's the facts. They've won 15 of their last 17 games. They've beaten every top contender and pretender in the league. During that 17-game stretch, they've been a respectable 16th in the league defensively. Oh, and they've got two guys, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, who have hit big shots and played terrifically on the biggest stage. Oh, and by the way, they've done it all without their best player, who has the type of game and demeanor that will fit in fairly seamlessly when he comes back. Oh, and one more thing. The other team on their level is without its two superstars who have relatively serious injuries. All right, I mean, look, yes, the Brooklyn Nets should be favored. It would be a travesty, a mockery, a farce if the Brooklyn Nets were not the favorites to win the championship.
I'm so happy we got here. It took us a while, and the bridge was built, you know, not in a day, but I'm glad we finally built it, and now we've traversed across it. First of all, before I even get to Broussard and the Nets, I am very happy that LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are back to where they are most comfortable. We believe while no one believes in us. The underdog story that started beautifully last year when Kevin Wildes outlaid the gauntlet of the bubble, when Charles Barkley picked them to lose in round one, when they weren't even the best team in Los Angeles, they once again now are the hunters rather than the hunted, because the Brooklyn Nets and their 25th defensive rating and their 8th best in the league point differential are just unbeatable. And the Brooklyn Nets, who, while we're worried about the Lakers' injury concerns, meanwhile, KD hadn't played in 6 weeks and Kyrie's gone again, but I'm sure they'll be fine. And the Brooklyn Nets, whose MVP is James Harden, yet Chris Broussard, when he was listing their guys who have big-time playoff moments, did he forget James Harden? Oh, no, he intentionally omitted James Harden because that goes against the argument. So I'm glad we're here, but what I am most concerned about is when we showed that list, the Philadelphia 76ers erasure. The Sixers, who lost Joel Embiid and since then have only lost one game. It was in overtime to the Bucks, and it took a Furkan Korkmaz buzzer-beating three to even force overtime, or else they'd be undefeated without Embiid. The Sixers, who according to Brandon Marshall, who underneath that Brooklyn Nets jersey has a Joel Embiid jersey, currently employ the best player alive. Why the Philadelphia 76ers are not being included here? No, the Nets are clearly...
Are they clearly the favorites? No. Are they clearly the favorites, Nick? That's the question. All of that other stuff.
I know, Brandon, but it was very obvious what my answer was.
Look.
No. The Lakers, because the Nets aren't even the favorites to get out of the East. Go ahead, Brandon.
The Lakers, you lose AD, and you guys you lose 6 out of 9, okay? And then after the All-Star break, you guys go on a winning streak because you're playing against Charlotte. You're playing against Charlotte. You're playing against, who else you played against? The Minnesota and a couple other teams that shouldn't even be on the court. So, please, the Lakers are in trouble. Now they lose LeBron. No real competitor wants to see LeBron goes down. They want to go through that. But at the end of the day, this is the situation. This is professional sports. So now when you talk about the clear-cut favorites, of course it's the Nets. But for me, I've never wavered. This is a discussion between you three, not me, because at the beginning of the year, before the season started, I picked the Nets to win it, okay? And then what happens? 12 games, 13 games into the season, we go add the MVP of the league, and that's James Harden. What they're doing is unprecedented. You got 3 guys that are averaging 25 points. Like, think about that. It's way too much offense. That's why a month and a half ago, when all you could stand on was defense. Oh, but they're a terrible defense. They're going to finish as the worst defense.
Yeah, they still are.
That's cool. We can have that conversation. But when we're putting up 120 points a night, I don't care about defense. You got to keep up with that. And that man right there is playing at another level. He's going to go down as one of the best shooting guards. And then if he played another 10 years, which he won't, if he played another 10 years at this level, he can go down as one of the best point guards to play the game. Because what he's doing is ridiculous. I think the last, 10 games, he's averaging almost a triple-double. Come on, Wilds, please. This discussion's between you three.
All right. Broussard, I appreciate your cogent analysis and fact-finding ability. While Brandon continues to break out different jerseys that he's being provided by the Brooklyn Nets and their propaganda machine, and Nick will always choose LeBron if he's in a full body cast. You're like, he can bust out of that body cast at any point and drag them to the championship. Broussard, why aren't we talking more about the Milwaukee Bucks? Is everyone just bored of the Bucks, just like we're bored of talking about Giannis's MVP? Giannis said, you know what? We like flying under the radar. Broussard doesn't want to talk about them, but old Kevin Wildes will. There are going to be times they're going to talk about us, going to be times they're not going to talk about us. Personally, I said, like being under the radar. They're 9-1. The P.J. Tucker signing was huge. No one talked about it. They're largely happy, got a great team chemistry. And yeah, Giannis's knee was a little tweaked, but he seemed fine yesterday. So Broussard, being the most sober and wizened NBA analyst on the panel, will you please give the Bucks some love?
You know what? Here's why we're not talking about the Bucks, Wilds. Because all the other teams we are talking about are superstar laden. All right, the Sixers have 2. The Nets have 3. The Lakers have 2. The Clippers have 2. That's why. Now, teams have won before with just one superstar. Remember Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas beating the Big Three in Miami. You go back to the Detroit Pistons who beat the Lakers in 2004. Or all the way back to 1979 with Seattle beating Washington in the
Chris,
championship.
You're making it too complex.
It happens every blue moon, but they don't have the talent. They don't have the superstars. Now, I'll give you this. One thing I like seeing, Giannis is beginning to close, and it's only been a few games, but he's showing better closing power than he has in the past. He's hit a few jumpers. We saw him against Philadelphia. We saw him the next game.
A few
so
jumpers.
If he can keep that up, then they could be better.
Keep
but
the conversation
they don't have
simple.
the superstar. They don't have the superstars that the other teams have. That's what it boils down to.
Chris, keep the conversation simple. You're going back 15 years, 20 years. It's as simple as this. This is why no one's talking about the Bucks. Because if you go to the first clip that we showed, the highlights of him of Giannis, what did you see? You saw Rudy Gay at the top of the key, and he backed up to the free throw line. Why? Because that's how you stop them. Go ahead and shoot. Have we ever? When's the last time we saw a superstar like this get given the perimeter? Oh, buddy, go ahead and shoot. That's the reason. You go to the bubble and you see the Heat. How did they beat them? Look at Rudy Gay. Go ahead and shoot. And is that the path to hoisting up that trophy? Come on, man. I just don't believe it, Nick.
Well, that's why the Bucks aren't the favorites. But Wild's point on P.J. Tucker is an incredibly important one because he further opens up the court. No one in the NBA has hit more corner threes in the last 4 years than P.J. Tucker. And Drew Holiday missed a bunch of time. He was their big offseason acquisition. So we haven't seen this. We haven't seen enough games of this team fully formed. I want to make a point to Brandon, and then I have a question for Broussard. Brandon, you keep talking about how bad the Lakers looked for 2 weeks without Anthony Davis. I don't understand that because we all are assuming that in the playoffs, the Nets are going to have KD back, right? And we're assuming that in the playoffs, Embiid's going to be back. We're assuming that in the playoffs, Anthony Davis is going to be back. The Lakers started the season 21-6. Why is that not more indicative of who they are when fully formed than when they were not only missing AD, but they were also missing Schroeder when they missed AD? Like, what? Why are you erasing
Can I respond
the first
to that?
30 games of the schedule?